It's 5 o'clock.
Candy, I was going to wait another minute, because I think we only have four board members on here. Mike, have you heard from anyone that's not going to be here?
I don't think he heard you.
No. Hey, Mike.
I'll run back and knock on his door.
Okay.
Mike, can you hear Jeannie?
I'm going to go with Mike cannot hear anyone.
I love watching the reaction. You can
Yeah,
tell exactly what's
yeah.
being said.
He's like, what's happening? Can you hear us now, Mike? Ah, all right. We'll wait for Candy to come back in through the forest and the tent campground there. She's going to be emerging any moment. This is great. I love backgrounds. And she came through the forest. That was fun.
Still got Forrest on. Oh, there she is.
Mike, you're still muted.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. So, Mike, have you heard from anybody that's not going to be here? I think I've got Amanda, Randy, and Jenna. Is all.
No, the only person that's not going to be here is Laura from Matt's office, the attorney. Okay. Yeah. That's weird.
What time is it? It's 5
So are we're just missing Corey, right?
I think so.
Jerry.
Oh, and Jerry.
Yeah.
And the kitties.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, it's 5:01. Oh, now it's 5:02. So I will call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, July 20th, 2020. It is 5:02 p.m. This is a meeting of the Village of Oregon Village Board. So, Candy, would you like to do a roll call, please?
Sure. So Bollig, I don't see him on there. Carpenter?
Yes, here.
Glish?
Here.
Horton? Jacobson?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
All right. Item 3 is community input. This part of the agenda allows members of the public to comment on anything that isn't published on the agenda. I don't think we have anyone on here from the public, but is there anyone that would like to speak about anything that's not on tonight's agenda? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, so we will move on to item 4, public appearance. Item A, this is the discussion with the village attorney regarding revising water impact fees. So we are going to have a public hearing to discuss and act upon an ordinance amending section 13.11 of the Village of Oregon Code of Ordinances relating to impact fees for water facilities. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. And then we'll get comments from village attorney and village staff about the impact fee schedule and needs assessments.
So Jeannie, I'm going to start off and then
Okay.
Maybe Jeff or Lisa wants to jump in. So as I mentioned, Laura, who prepared all this, unfortunately had a family health issue, so she had to take care of. So we're gonna try getting through this. And then Matt, if the board could actually just continue the hearing to the next meeting if they wanted to when Laura's available, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So as we go through here, if you feel more comfortable doing that rather than closing it under E, we could just continue the hearing to August 3rd, Gina, just so you know.
Okay.
So basically, this needs assessment is an update of the 2004 water utility impact fee study that we did. And we were going to actually do this back in, I think in April, and then when COVID happened, we just canceled that and rescheduled it to tonight. And this is in response to, as the needs assessment document shows, we're looking at 3 major improvements. Well 6, which is on the west side of the village that we built on the west side of the village, an elevated tank, and a new booster station also on the west side. And with these three capital improvements, we felt merited an update to the 2004 needs assessment. I'm going to try to hit the highlights here. We published the 20-day notice, which was required by state law. That was done. As noted in the needs assessment, historically the village has used an impact fee to recover capital costs of water supply and storage, but not water distribution. And this approach continues with this needs assessment. Laura was very careful when she was doing her calculations that she used the population trend that the village's comprehensive plan currently discusses, which shows us having 15,000 people, approximately 15,000 people in 2035, and a population of 15,000 plus 500,000 housing units. And then the needs assessment talks about the existing deficiencies, which is why we need these three improvements to the water system. And this was based on you may recall that we hired Rookie and Milky to do a water analysis study, was I think last year, and which kind of led into the needs assessment then. I wanted to just point out a couple other things here. I think this is kind of interesting that people realize that when Laura prepared the needs assessment, she makes sure that there's a cost, as you can see on table 9 of the I'm sorry, table 7 of what these projects are going to cost, and she wants to make sure that new residents are not double charged, because these impact fees are paid when somebody pulls a building permit. So she wants to make sure that a new residents paying impact fees and not at the same time getting charged for water bills as well. So she gives a credit to this analysis to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention is that on page 14, she recommends that we could increase this every year by inflation. But at this point, I think I'm recommending that we look at this every 3 to 4 years, and I'll explain why. If you look back at I'm going to make Elise go back to the table at the beginning, this table here, please. Yeah. Keep going, please. It's the first thing on this. Yeah, keep going. And so the needs assessment. Keep going, please.
What page is it on, Mike?
You got it's the very first item. It's the schedule. It's right there. Yep, that's perfect. Thank you. So as this shows, we are currently charging $1,800 for impact fees and for water, and the needs assessment is proposing $1,202. And then we do this schedule or table to show what it currently costs a typical dwelling unit in the village and what it will cost when if the village implements these new water impact fees, and actually it's going to go down. And the reason why my recommendation, I think Lisa would agree with this too, rather than increasing this every year, we think what the village board should do is that once the library board has built the new library with the village board, that as I noted in number 3 here in this footnote, the library impact fee will need to be reviewed after the new library building is built. I think at that time, it would be an appropriate time in a couple of years now then to look at our total impact fee charge, because the fire district, the $112 will be coming off. And I think we'll just have to take a look to see what the total cost would be. If you keep it at $1,200 for the water, and you almost maybe potentially double the library, I think we just have to be sensitive to what the total cost would be for a total dwelling unit. So at this point, if the board approves lowering the water impact fee, I would just leave everything in place until the library built, and then take a look at all this again in a couple of years. That's kind of a general overview of what we're looking at tonight. And if you, sorry to make you jump around here, if you could go back to page 13 of the document, I forgot to mention something here. Yeah, thank you. So you can see for a typical dwelling unit, they would pay $1,202. But as you get a bigger meter size, it goes up at a certain ratio. And again, this is based on the needs assessment. And I feel comfortable that Laura's done a really thorough job as usual, and that this is a defensible adjustment for this.
And it's worth noting that we've not issued a building permit for anything above a 2.5-inch meter to my memory. We'd love to issue a permit for a 12-inch water meter, but those are just out there. Those are for those really, really big industries that come in, and you just want to be able to have it in place in case they do.
Yeah. I think that's it. Any questions on that?
Jeannie, I have one. Randy.
Sure, go ahead, Randy.
So Mike, just a simple question. It's a good reduction. How are we able to do that?
It's based on the cost of the projects. So when we first put this in, we were paying for different projects back in 2004, Randy. Now we have different projects. Yep.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
I think the large project on that, Mike, was the Lincoln Road Water Tower, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
That's $1.5 million tower or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice $600 reduction, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
I think you may recall that when we were doing the park improvement and parkland acquisition, the new adjustments we made last year, Lisa and I at that time expressed, and we will always express a concern that we don't price ourselves out of the market by having these impact fees too high. And that's why I was trying to make the point that I think that if you put these in, and I think we should because we're lowering the fees, once the library is built, I think, and the library most likely will go up the impact fee, the board will have to look at all these just to make sure we're not just putting ourselves out of the market. And I think we're competitive at this point, but we always need to be very sensitive to these impact fees. So.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure. You're welcome.
Other questions, board members? Yes, go ahead, Amanda.
I was just going to ask, the fire impact fee, was that for the new firehouse? And now if it falls off, is it conceivable that in the near future, near meaning 5-6 years, might have to tack on a fire impact fee for an what do you call them, a satellite fire department location?
Yeah, that could happen with probably one qualifier is that they keep changing the impact fee law. So we could probably do it currently, but 5 or 6 years from now, we'll have to, the village will have to see what the law is at that point. And again, Amanda, I think at that point, again, you have to be looking at what is our total cost of all these fees, and you have to balance it every time you do these.
Are we still falling in the mid to high range for other municipalities?
We're competitive at this point, particularly now dropping this. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
The thing that is on that table that I made at least go back to, which I forgot to note, was one of the footnotes, is that we have a current sewer connection fee, which is not an impact fee, which is a connection fee of $2,500. It's a higher fee than a lot of communities have, and so actually when Laura looked at that, and Jeff, you can correct me, when Laura looked at that last year, that's actually been at $2,500 for a long time.
Right.
We could increase it. We could actually legally increase it like to $4,000, and we just said, I think the board may recall that we decided not to do that.
Yeah.
Again, we just got to be careful we don't charge too much for our impact fees and connection fees.
Well, and we were also waiting to see what the facility plan would say
True.
too.
True. Yeah. But I think I'm comfortable. It's around $4,000 for these fees. And you should understand again, just to remind everyone, the parkland acquisition, we're going to talk about this a little bit later under the Adam Coyle item. Most of the time, that doesn't really impacts all development, but a lot of times if subdivision is being created, give us land. And this is when they don't give us enough land. So the parkland acquisition doesn't always come into play as far as a raw number. It's usually done by land and some fees by the developer. So I think at this point, it's typically about a $4,000 charge. Amanda, we're in the ballpark with that number.
Okay.
Other questions from board members? And I don't believe we have any members from the public, but any public comments on this project? How does the board feel? Are you guys ready to close the hearing and vote tonight, or do you want to wait until Laura can join us? I think I'm comfortable with moving ahead tonight.
And I'm
How's everybody
fine.
else
Me
feeling?
too.
Okay.
Mike did a good job.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. We have a recommended motion in front of us to direct village staff to make any necessary requested changes to the ordinance amending section 13.11 of the Code of Ordinances relating to impact fees for water facilities and amended fee schedule for the August 3rd, 2020 village board agenda. Would someone like to make that motion, please?
I'll make it, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Jacobson will second.
So we have a motion by Glish and a second by Jacobson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. There's a lot of work in that document, so please pass our thanks on to Laura.
I will. Thank you.
All right, item 5, approval of minutes. We have none. Item 6, approval of vouchers. Tonight we have vouchers in the amount of $383,168.60 for approval. Would someone like to make a motion to get that on the table, please?
I'll go move that.
I'll second, Jeannie.
So we have a motion by Bollig and a second by Glish. All right, questions?
Bollig has one question.
Yep, go ahead, Jerry.
Number 2537, Eller's accounting disclosure. What is that? Continuing disclosure, excuse me.
We have to do that every year, right, Lisa? You're paying to do that.
Yeah, it's a reporting that we have to do annually for the
For borrowing.
yeah, all of our funds that we have borrowed. It's
Okay.
It's the
Right.
where is it?
Lisa, I think that as a result of the meltdown that happened after 2007 or 8, right? They put on a number of requirements. Pretty sure.
Yeah, it's maybe, yeah, it's probably about since 2007, 2008. This has to be done.
Yeah.
So what does it involve? What do they come in and what do they analyze or what do they look at? Or
They look at all of our borrowing that we have, and I looked at it a few weeks ago. They have to list each like for 20-year borrowing, there's like 20 different lines that they have to record.
Mhm.
And so they have to do that for each borrowing. And then when we do new borrowing, they report all of that to the continuing disclosure board. And I'm trying to find the name of it here because it escapes me. It's MS something, but for some reason I can't find my folder. Ellers has been doing this for us for a number of years now, so
Okay.
and I believe the fee hasn't increased over the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so when they list all the borrowing by agency, I assume, and then do they advise you what percentage of budget it is, or what denotes a good level of borrowing as opposed to a bad level of borrowing?
I don't think that isn't what it does, Lisa, right? It just,
No.
it's basically a reporting process to, I haven't looked at that in a while. I'm just making a note of it. Sure, this is what I'll do. I'll put it on the next agenda with a better explanation of we'll give you a copy of the.
That's fine. I'm just curious, I'm
Sure.
sure we went over that a year ago when we paid this again, but I guess I've totally blanked out on this.
I think we probably went through it a lot more when we approved the original agreement with
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So I guess if it gives an opinion on the health of the borrowing or something like that, I'd like to know that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
What
so I found so it's financial information that we have to report to the Electronic Municipal Market Access, which is EMA website. So that's the reporting that they're doing for the village on our behalf. So like when we go out to do our borrowing, this is one thing that people that are
the investors that are borrowing or putting an offer in to borrow or to take our debt out look at that. Right?
They look at this information.
Right.
Okay, so potential buyers of our bonds would look at this then.
Correct.
Yes. Right.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I was wondering what the heck kind of value it had, and now I understand. That would be as a potential purchaser of a village bond, I guess that would be good information. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Mike, you don't have to do any more on that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, Jerry.
Or at least not for me. I don't know about anyone else, but not for me.
Other questions on vouchers? All right, then I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Glish,
Yes.
Carpenter,
Yes,
and Bollig.
Yes.
thank you. Item 7, proclamations and announcements. What board comments do we have tonight? All right, staff comments. We have a list of upcoming virtual meetings there. The next one is on Wednesday. We have a Zoom meeting. It's a joint meeting with the towns for the senior center and the fire EMS district. And that's at 6:30 p.m. And I see the agenda's already out there. Yep. So we have the Zoom address for that.
It's all Zoom too. We decided it was too hard to coordinate people being at the high school and then having some on Zoom, so we just made it all Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then you'll see meetings listed there in August and September. Other staff comments this time?
Jeannie, I have a comment.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jeff.
We've been getting a lot of phone calls and some emails, people asking, when are we going to have those roads that have been milled paved? And it's a very good question. Normally, the paving follows almost right after the milling. I think Payne and Dolan's been behind, and so I've been speaking with our engineer about it, and we've been told that the schedule is to be paved this Friday. And they are actually kind of bumping up against some contract deadlines that, if they don't meet the paving deadlines, that we could charge them liquidated damages. I don't think it's going to come down to that, but we're definitely trying to keep their feet to the fire to make sure that we get this paving done within the contract times.
Thanks, Jeff, for that.
Yep.
I live on one of those roads.
I know it's been getting frustrating for all.
All right, any other staff comments? All right, going on to item 8, under communication and miscellaneous business. This is item A. We have a discussion amongst ourselves and the village attorney and possible action regarding the review of procedure for filling a vacancy in the office of trustee. So one way or another, we need to start thinking about filling the late David Donovan's seat. And Matt wrote us a memo because apparently we've had some updates from the state legislature. Yay. Thanks, state legislature. Matt, you want to hit any highlights on this for us?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not muted. Okay. So, I mean, the good news is that the legislature made things less complicated. I'm just opening up my file here. Sorry.
Yeah, right, Matt, they passed that law, Act 164, which, I mean, you and Rachel actually felt like it actually made it easier to read the law now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's definitely less complicated than it used to be. It's still a little complicated. Let's see here. Wow. I gotta find this memo. One moment. My apologies.
Matt, can you see the agenda packet online?
Oh, there you go. It's right up
Yeah.
there. Oh,
Okay.
thank you very much.
We could read it to you, Matt.
Yeah, very good.
That's right.
All right. Okay, so as the memo says, in general, the choices are to appoint someone to fill the seat for the remainder of the unexpired term, which would be through April of 2022, or to appoint someone until such time as a special election can be held at a time to be ordered by the village board. Or the board may just simply leave the seat vacant, either until a special election is held or until the regular election in April of 2022. So those are basically the options today.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Hey, Elise, can you go to page 3 of this memo, please? I just want to just point something out here that Rachel puts in the, that second last, let's see here. Yeah, so right now, in the second last paragraph of that page, it says, based on the timelines, it's too late to order a special election to be held in November. And so she says, however, the Board of Trustees could call for a special election to be held on the same day as the spring election scheduled April 6, 2021. But to do that, the board would need to issue its order between November and December of this year. So I'm not sure which way the board's going. I just want to make sure you saw that qualifier in there.
Okay. So really our options are to do what we've done in the past, ask for applications, interview them, appoint someone. We could wait until the regular spring election in April, right? Or
Right.
we could leave it vacant.
Correct.
Which doesn't seem like a great idea to me, but does anyone have thoughts on how you'd like to move forward?
Jeannie?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
So I think it'd be vacant for 22 months, basically. I would be in favor of just, why not do what we've done in the past? I mean, that seems to be the simplest. Special election seems just it seems more complicated than I think that it needs to be. And we've had we've had good success, good candidates in the way we've done it in the past. I'm comfortable with that. I don't know how other people feel.
Other thoughts? Yes, Amanda.
I think if a seat is going to be vacant for longer than a year, I think whenever possible, we should probably try to do an election, a special election, since we could do it at the spring election pretty easily. We have to plan for that anyway. There's no additional cost for that. And it would fill the seat for a year until they'd be up for their regular election for that seat a year after that. If it was less than a year, I would say, yeah, let's appoint someone because that makes more sense. But because David's seat was just won this past spring, it would be vacant for a long time. I just feel like the people should have more input whenever possible. So I would say a spring election makes the most sense.
Okay, other thoughts?
I just want to ask Amanda a clarifying question. This is Matt. Amanda, are you suggesting leave it vacant until April 21 and then fill it with a special election? Or
Yes,
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So it'll be vacant for a few months until we can get someone elected in April. Just because I think it's, more true to democracy or whatever, and letting the people have their say, whereas an appointment feels not to me, for the general public, I think it looks like, it's supposed to be an elected seat, and appointment is a temporary solution, but I don't know. I just feel like it should go to the people whenever possible. And since we have an upcoming spring election where we could do it, that's just my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. So the seat would be vacant for 9 months, just so everybody knows. April's not, and people don't-
Jerry would like to weigh in when I get a chance. I've been
yeah,
trying.
sure, Jerry and Corey. All right.
Yeah,
so
I'm not clear on what Randy is saying. What was Randy's opinion on this?
Well, my opinion, and I let me just clarify. I see Amanda's point too, but mine was just to appoint somebody until the position would be up. Although that would be 22 months,
Mhm.
so that person would be appointed for 22 months. Amanda is saying that we should elect somebody next April.
Mhm.
I was just saying, Jerry, let's follow. Why don't we just?
I understand. I understand.
But I see Amanda's point as well.
Yeah, and I guess the way I look at this, unless the board is foreseeing the possibility that we'd be in conflict and not able to agree on something, that this seat would be a possible tiebreaker. And generally, I think we agree pretty well. Not that that's good or bad, but I'm just saying in my recollection that a lot of our votes are close to unanimous, if not unanimous. I don't think we need to do anything next year. It's not like the voters care whether we have 6 people or 7 people on the board. It's like we all represent the desires of the community. So one less or one more, I don't see how that makes any difference. And maybe if someone wants to correct that logic, maybe I've got flawed logic on that. So
What are you suggesting? I'm confused. That we don't fill the seat?
Oh, I wasn't finished, but no,
Okay,
I wasn't
sorry.
saying that. I just wasn't quite understanding what you were saying. I wasn't quite understanding your logic to fill the desires of the voters. Well, I don't think that voters care whether we have 6 people or 7 people on the board, as long as we meet, get together, and take actions to keep the services of the village moving. So, my opinion would be, I'd be okay with taking applications and filling the seat. Although I do have some reservations about bringing someone new into a virtual meeting situation, and also where we're not meeting in person, because you lose a lot by not meeting in person. So at least that's my opinion. So I guess I'd be okay with taking applications and filling the position within a specified amount of time for the remainder of the term, or I'd be okay with just leaving it vacant until the end of the term. So there's 2 options that I'd be okay with. I don't like the idea of filling it next year with a special election, because there's extra cost with that and extra time for the staff. So that's where I am on this. And when I say taking applications, I don't know how complicated that would be. Have we done that in the past? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did it for me.
Yeah, that's how David actually got on the board. That's how Ray
Okay.
got on the board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David got on the board that way, and I see, I vaguely remember that. So I'd be okay with doing that again. But again, I'd also be okay with just leaving it vacant until the end of the term. It's not like one more or one less board member makes a difference, because as a general rule, we're able to rule on, we don't have tie votes. I can't remember the last time we had a tie vote. Even now when we're 3-3. So at least that's my opinion.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Corey?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the hybrid between Randy and Amanda. I think the benefits of, putting it out, for an election and having the public decide who they want is very important. So I'm on Amanda's side there. But, our history has been to, fill the vacancy. And I think that one big benefit appointing someone for a year until we can do a special election is that it gives someone a chance to get involved and see if they're going to like it or not. I'm worried if we just waited, until we had a regular election and left it vacant, that we might not even get anyone to apply to be in that position. So ultimately, I would be in favor of appointing someone for the short term until we can have a special election.
So, Corey, do you mean an election in the spring?
Yes.
Okay.
Why? Excuse me, this is Bollig again. Why not just appoint someone until the end of the term?
My personal opinion on that is like Amanda's is, this is basically almost a full term. So because I think the term is so long, I think if I were, a voting citizen, which I am, I think that should be up to the, citizens at large rather than just a couple board members.
But that person would have to run for election at the end of that term.
Correct.
So the voters would weigh in at that point.
Right.
All right. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jenna.
I was just going to say, I like Corey's suggestion of doing the hybrid model. I have always found the process of the appointment process that we've done now twice since I've been on the board interesting and exciting to meet people. But I think that the voters have the right to also elect who's going to represent them. And since it is almost a full term, I think they should have that opportunity. So I'm on board with appointing somebody until we can have a special election in the spring of 21.
Okay.
And Jeannie, can I just make one comment? I mean, what happened with me is, I think it was September or October, got appointed, and then I had to run again in April. So it's sort of similar to what the hybrid model we're talking about.
Okay. I'm taking notes here. Amanda, how do you feel about appointing someone until the spring election?
Great. I was just raising my hand to say that I'm good with the hybrid. Appoint someone until a spring election, and that would be a special election to elect them for 1 year, right? Because then they'd be up for the regular 2-year slot that Dave was on. So, yeah, I like that idea a lot. I think it's important to have the public's input because of the length of the term. So, great.
Mike or Candy, does that scenario create more work for staff?
I'll let Candy talk about the election part of it.
To create more work, well, we still have to do the spring election anyway.
Right.
But it will just be it'll just be how we notice it, and we'll have to. I don't know if I haven't had a chance, Matt. If you had a chance to look at like the dates, will they run concurrently with the nomination papers for the regular election?
I assume so, but I don't know for certain. We'll have to verify.
Yeah,
that.
Because when I was kind of looking at it, it was a little complicated to me. So I was just trying to get that all wrapped around my brain, my tiny brain. So I don't know if I have a good answer for that, but we'll do whatever you want to do.
Okay, so here's my notes. So it sounds like Randy, Corey, Amanda, and Jenna would all be in favor or okay with appointing. So taking applications and then appointing a replacement until the spring election, where we would have a special election to fill that seat. And I would point out that the person that we appoint can run for the seat then. I mean, you see that happen all the time on a national level. Jerry is thinking about taking applications or vacant till the end of term. Jerry, how do you think about appointing someone until the spring and see it, and then they can run again, or anybody
Well,
can run?
obviously the majority is going to rule here, but I will say that if I put myself in the candidate's position, they're basically going to apply and they're going to get interviewed, and they're going to have to undergo a selection process now. And then again in the spring, they're going to have to go through an election process. And I wonder how many people would look at that cumbersome process and go, you know, I'd like to be on the board for more than the rest of the year, but I don't know if I want to go through all that. Because if they want to campaign, if they're going to buy signs, if they're going to go through all that, you kind of wonder. I mean, that's a little bit bigger process than just taking an application and going through a selection. But again, the majority will rule here.
So Jeannie, can I just say, I mean, having done it, Jerry, I mean, if you're really committed to being on the board, that's what you do. And that's what I did.
Obviously, but again, you may scare off good candidates by the largeness of the process.
I don't think they're good candidates if they're not willing to put in the work.
I don't know. We don't get too many applications when we have our elections, do we?
Corey, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I guess just from my personal experience, I interviewed when the appointment happened when Randy got selected. And had I not gone through that process, I would not have ran and gotten on the board. So for me, it actually worked the opposite way. It incentivized me to go for getting on the board.
Okay, thanks for that viewpoint. I'd forgotten that. Yep. And you're right, Corey.
So is anyone ready to make a motion, or do you want to keep talking about it, or?
I guess I'll make the motion to appoint someone to fill the term until we can have a spring special election.
And Jeannie, I'll second.
All right.
So Jeannie can ask for one clarification here.
Yes,
so that's basically saying that we've done in the past. People would submit village residents would submit applications to me. And so what's the date? When do you want the applications to be back to the board?
Let's look at our calendars here.
Yeah, I mean, the next two meetings are August 3rd and the 17th.
Could we have them back in time to talk about it at the August 17th meeting, or is that too short a time?
I figured that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Okay.
I figured we went this way. That's why we'll talk about maybe potentially having a special board meeting on the 24th of August for some other items. So yeah, I think you have to get people at least a month or close to a month to respond.
Does that sound okay, everybody? So applications would be due 5 o'clock on the 14th? That's the Friday.
I think I always make it that Thursday.
Oh yeah, so that you can get them in the packet.
Yeah, I think I would say it would be the 4:30 on the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sound okay with everyone?
Sounds good.
That gives everybody it gives everybody 4 full weeks.
Yeah. Question after that though, Jeannie, we get the applications in, do we, and forgive my poor memory, because we just went through this. What happens then? Does the board review them, and then does the board debate and vote on someone, or what? How does it work?
So I think the 3 times I've been involved in that, the applications are public. They're published in the packet. We ask all of the candidates to come to the village board meeting, which in this case would be August 17th.
Yep.
Everybody gets a certain amount of time, if it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, to make a statement. And we actually ask the other candidates to leave the room, I think, during that time. I mean, we can't make them, but we do ask them to. And then once we've interviewed all of the candidates, at least in the past, we have made a decision that night. I think it's always an option that we can think about it and discuss and make a decision at the next meeting, but that's what we've done in the past.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, so we have a motion to take applications and then appoint someone to fill the position until the spring election, which would be a special election for the seat, which would end up being a 1-year term at that point. All right, so any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so Mike, you'll get something out on the website then, and
Oh, Kenny and I will handle it. Yep.
okay, cool. All right, and then maybe there'll be a story in the Observer, because I don't know. I always think it's attractive to get on to try to get on a board without having to have your name on a ballot. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, Emily's going yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, the whole election thing is stressful. We've all been there, done that. But look at all of the benefits we get from the job. Right, everyone? Okay, thank you. That was a good discussion. All right, so now we're going to go on to item 5B. So this is discussion and possible action regarding proposals from search firms for village administrator recruitment. We have some notes from Mike to consider, and I'll just read these out loud. So we have budgeted $15,000 for the search. However, Mike would recommend that we not let that funding influence our selection of the firm. Some questions for us to discuss tonight. Will the entire board conduct the interview process, or will the board create a screening committee? And will the search firm or the Oregon Police Department conduct the background of the final candidate? Has everyone had a chance to review the 3 applications that we got from firms to do the search?
Yes.
I guess maybe should we start discussion then on if anyone has a
I'll start.
Yeah, thanks, Randy.
So what I did is I ignored the cost. I did not look at any cost of any of the proposals. Basically what I did is just went through them, and which ones I ranked them. So is that okay if I just sort of tell you what I and why? So my first number 1 pick was and maybe Mike knows things that I don't know from the packet, but the first one I picked was the Public Administrative Associates. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of good detail in it, I found. One of the things that I found, it said 60% is work performed from previous people that they've worked for, which I thought was good. They had 300 municipal administrative searches, which I liked. Last year, the recruitment of new manager administrators for over 20 small communities. And then I said I didn't look at the cost, but they are the lowest, but I like them. And then the second one I picked was the government HRs. I'm surprised, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I read 28% of the clients are repeats, that seemed a little low to me. 28% repeats. And then it said hundreds, that they've done hundreds since 2009. They were the highest at 20,000. And then obviously number 3 was the executive search services. I thought it lacked a lot of detail, didn't have much detail in. It was very short. And then the cost was 18.9 plus advertising. So as I said, I read them all through, ranked them, and then I looked at the cost. I really didn't want the cost to influence. So my number one was the public administrative people. So
Yeah,
I started.
thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. Corey?
I completely agreed with Randy's rankings. The only thing that I would like to add that Randy hasn't already pointed out is one other sign of quality that I looked for was the warranty that they provide on their services. You know, if the administrator, you know, doesn't stay for more than a year, public administration associates, you know, will go through the process again, basically for free. So I think they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is and saying, we're confident in who we're going to recruit and get, and you're going to be happy with them and they're going to be happy with you. So I think that was another big reason why I was in favor of PAA. That's it.
Thanks, Corey. All right, Amanda? Oh, Amanda, unmute yourself.
Sorry, I just became that person in the meeting. Anyway, I appreciate Randy's assessment there, and I mostly agree. The one thing I want to point out about GovHR is that they also had that guarantee in their proposal for a year. You know, if your person doesn't stay there for a year, that they would do another selection process, and that was included. And I also liked GovHR a little better just because they really had a high focus on diversity. They really talked about various places that they recruit, looking for people of color and women, their women-owned business and things like that, which is important today. But I could go with either GovHR or Public Administration Associates. The last one was just not an option for me either.
Okay, thank you. Other thoughts? Or Jerry?
Thank you. I agree with Randy and Corey, and actually I agree with everybody's first pick right now. Although I did swallow real hard when I saw the cost. It seemed to be with that guarantee that was that was a little balm on that. But I thought that the public administration seemed like they were more seasoned when it came to selecting these people. So that's my first pick too. My third pick, I wouldn't even, if the third pick was the only one that we got, I would want to just do the process all over again and see what else we could find.
Okay. Jenna, anything to add? Or sorry, you think, and Corey, you go ahead.
Sure. I guess with the warranty, GovHR, they did charge the cost for expenses and announcements if they did need to reapply, which that I don't think was quite as good as PAA, but they do provide some more. I also echo what Amanda said with, I did like their focus on diversity. And I think a lot of those ideas we can make sure that we get included with the process, which I think with all of our recruitments, we should really take those to heart and look at what we can do in our recruitment process. So that's it.
Cool. All right. Once again, I'm taking notes here. For me, my rankings were the same as Randy. I did the public administration. In addition to I've actually printed this out. So in addition to if someone left before 12 months, they would do a new search. In addition to that, if the initial search is not successful, they'll actually do an additional search until the position is filled. Yep. So I like that. That kind of sealed the deal for me, because I don't know how many of you have been on these committees, these screening panels, but you don't want to do it more than once. Oh God. So that's my thoughts. Any other thoughts, or I mean, so I guess then the question is, do we want to bring in the top two of the PAA and the GovHR in to do interviews, or does anyone feel comfortable making a motion tonight to actually recommend that we hire one of the firms? Oh, Jenna has her hand up. Okay.
So I echo pretty much what everybody said about GovHR and public administration. And from my perspective, I think I'd like to talk to both of those two for next steps, because I didn't have a clear, and I guess for me, the choice between the two was a little less clear than for everybody else, but so that would be my preference.
Okay.
Jeannie, can I ask Mike a question?
Sure.
Is it okay? So Mike, do you have any insight into any of these? I mean, is that okay to ask you that?
I know almost everyone from all the three firms because they're all retired administrators. So I know the one gentleman I went to college with, so I have some contact. The number one
conflict.
Oh, no. But the one thing I wanted to mention on something that Candy and I talked about was, and this sort of goes to my second question, or second bullet point on the agenda. Is the board going to conduct the interview process, or will the board create a screening committee? And the reason why I'm asking that is with PAA, they don't do I don't think they do the first screening of the candidates like the other two. And so that's something that to the board or our screening committee would be more involved in it, because I've done this when I've been looking for a job with some consultants. You apply to the firm, they get 40 or 50 applicants, and then they pick like a dozen. They call you in and you actually meet with the firm, and then the community sees all the resumes, but then from that, their screening, they give you 4 or 5 to interview, versus what we've done with department heads, and Jeannie knows this, we get the 40 or 50 applications, and then we do 2 interviews. We do the initial interview of 10 or 12 or 8 or whatever it is, and then we get it down to a final interview. So I think the board should talk about the process you want to use, because if you're going to pick PAA and you want them to do the initial screening, then you need to talk to them about that, because that could affect their price. I'm not sure. It's something to bring up. But Randy, going back to Randy's question, Randy, I know most of the guys that are listed on here. The group from Illinois that Lee works for GovR, they used to be called the PAR group, and they had been in existence since the 1970s. And then Heidi, who is the president of the company, she used to work in the community in Chicagoland, and she and the other woman basically took over the firm and created a new company. And Lee used to actually be, for many years, as you see on his resume, used to be actually in Buffalo Grove. And that's when I first met him. I used to work in Libertyville down there. But then he worked in Mequon for many years and then retired from that. And then the other firm, Kevin used to work in Whitewater, and Chris Shorts I actually went to college with and know him from UWM. So
This is
they're all good guys.
Mike.
Yep. The PA. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that actually, I don't know if it's Hearst, the firm, that's who hired me or did the recruitment where I got hired back in '99. So.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Further thoughts, directions? Jenna, oh yeah, go ahead, Corey.
I guess on what Mike's request was on process, I think PAA does provide, a good summary of references, especially, which is, I think, one of the primary things that I would like you to kind of, figure which candidates we want to interview. So I guess as far as process, I wouldn't mind seeing kind of a smaller group committee, go through those to decide who we're going to interview. But I think everyone on the board should probably be a part of the interview process. But those are just my thoughts on your question.
Jenna, did you have a thought before I got to Corey or not? No.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean to indicate if I
Yeah,
did.
sure. So to just back up one moment, do you want to bring in both GovHR and PAA to talk to them? To interview those two firms? Or do you want to move with one of those tonight, knowing that if we select PAA, we'll have to do that first round of screening ourselves?
Or Jeannie, you could ask them to do that. I think, let's say you hire them, that'd be one of the, you would probably want to discuss with them the process.
Okay, gotcha.
And you could talk to them about that. I think they'd be willing to do that. I'm not sure why not. But then again, the board may want to see the top, I mean, the thing that we do, of course, as you've been through a couple of these department head hirings, we go through and we get 40 or 50 applications, and we have the yes pile, the maybe pile, the no pile. And so the question is, do you want them to do that, or does the board want to see all 40 or 50 applications? So I think whoever we hire, we'll need to talk to them about the process and what the board's comfortable with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Jeannie.
Oh, Randy, then Corey, sure.
So I'll just say, I mean, I would be comfortable with, there's enough information in the packets for me to decide who I would pick, but it seems like some of the board members want to interview the top two. I'm okay with that as well. If we think that's going to get us more than what we have in front of us. I just don't want us to be rehashing everything with them in person that we have in the packet. That's all. But I'll do either one. I mean, I would be ready to vote tonight myself.
Corey, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I guess, in my review of the PAA proposal, to me, it looked like, they were going to provide kind of mini resume of the candidates kind of for helping to select the semifinalists. So it looked to me that, they are participating, I guess, in the selection of who ultimately would get interviewed. So I didn't see what was missing from what Mike was referencing, I guess.
Corey, in the past, they would make they would make people do videos, candidates do videos. So I guess my point is, I think we just would need to make sure that we're on the same page in what process. It was really clear in the other two proposals what the initial step was, and I think I just want to make sure the board's comfortable what PAA is proposing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, I will say, having worked in the public sector, I think GovHR is kind of the big player in recruitment like this from a national perspective, I guess. So, I think there definitely are some benefits in going with them. So I guess I wouldn't be opposed to interviewing both of them just to see what they had to say in front of us, and to have the ability for Jenna to get more comfortable with the selection too.
Jerry, did you want to talk?
Yeah, I just say I'm ready to. I join Randy in saying that I'm ready to move on this tonight if the rest of the board or the majority of the board would like to do that. I'm comfortable with the PAA enough to do that.
So Jeannie, just one point. I mean, if we did Mike, or we did interview him, it's not going to delay anything.
No, actually, the schedule has us potentially interviewing consultants on the 17th of August.
But I mean, it's not going to delay if we interviewed the firms. That doesn't delay.
No.
Okay.
It's just
so to Jerry's point. I mean, I can go either way, but I'm okay if the majority wants to. It can't hurt to interview the firms. I'm okay. I can do that.
Are we talking about interviewing all the firms or just our top two?
No, that's the question we have to decide.
Okay.
I mean, the way it sounds, and for me, number 3, the executive search, they're not even in the running for me. So
I would agree with that.
Jenna or Amanda? Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
I think I like the idea of talking to them since we have the time to do it. You never know what we're going to find out. Someone may get in front of us from the corporation and we're like, no, or yay, we really like this person. I mean, that you know, you just don't know. And we'd have some time to think about the types of questions we'd like to ask them. And I don't know, are they both going to be in the same room at the same time? Or are we going to ask one to come in at a time just to make it fair and ask them the same questions as if we were interviewing for a position? Is that, I would say just invite GovHR and public administration, those two, and see what kind of feel we get for them. That'd be all right with me.
Yeah, and typically one would not be in the room when the other one is. And I don't think we have to ask them the same questions. This isn't the same as hiring a department head. This is hiring a consultant. So
okay.
Yeah. So, oh, Candy.
And I just want to ask, we plan on doing this through Zoom. I think we talked about, right, Mike? It's not going to be in person.
That's correct.
So.
Sorry, didn't mean to imply that. In the virtual room.
Yeah.
The virtual room, right?
Mike, if we interview both GovHR and PAA, can we request that the person that comes before us on Zoom would be the person that would be working on the project?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I mean, they can send a bigwig and he or she performs really well, and then we get someone else that perhaps we don't sync with.
Yeah, I think the request to be who's going to be working on the selection process on a daily basis should be at the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe those people were identified in the packet, so we can read up about them a little bit before we interview them.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Amanda.
Is GovHR, they wouldn't charge us for that, would they? And I say them specifically because they're nationwide. Maybe they have Wisconsin people, but the Public Administration Associates was more Wisconsin-based. Like all of their appointments, they work specifically in Wisconsin as opposed to all over. So they might not charge us to drive or be. I guess it doesn't matter if it's virtual.
They're not driving anywhere. No.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Be Zoom. Yep.
But showing up, they wouldn't charge us for their time.
No.
All right.
It sounds like we are leaning towards then interviewing GovHR and PAA on August 17th. Is anyone would like to make that motion? So we have a motion by Jacobson, second by Corey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So Mike, you'll contact them, and yes.
Yep. So Jeannie, this sort of goes to number or letter C on the agenda.
Yes.
And I did that on purpose the way I did the agenda. So on the same night, so make sure that everyone's okay now. So on the same night, you will be interviewing candidates for the board seat. And I guess these two firms, is that too much for a board meeting?
What else is on the agenda?
Yeah, that was my question. Like,
Yeah.
Is it a big meeting?
I don't think so at this point. I guess maybe let's keep both on the 17th. But I was wondering if we could maybe just tentatively put the 24th on your calendars so that if it looks like it's going to be a 3.5-hour meeting on the 17th, and I can split things up a little bit.
Sure.
That's okay. All right.
That sounds okay to everybody. Yeah.
I'm hesitating was I think Lisa and Jeff and I were trying to potentially get the review of the capital improvement program on the 17th, and that would be too much for one night. So maybe if it's ready, and maybe I would bump that to the 24th. So we'll see if it's ready by that time.
Just one comment.
Yes, Randy.
So Mike, if it is, what I would suggest, if it is a heavy agenda, get everybody in the front right away.
Yep.
So that we're not all tired and
Well,
Or
and so
not.
would the board want to do, thank you, Randy, for asking, that's a good, let you bring that up, put that up. So would the board want to do the interviews of the applicants for the board seat first and then the consultants, or flip it? What's your preference on the 17th? You have a preference?
Jenna, do you have a?
I would prefer the consultants, I think, first,
Okay.
personally, and then do the applicants.
Mike, what are you thinking for the consultants? You know, like 15, 20 minutes each? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a half an hour, the whole thing for them. I mean,
Okay.
you're already, I mean, to me, I don't think you really need this. They already gave you a pretty detailed application or submittal. I mean, I have to agree with, I forgot who was it, Amanda that said, I mean, this is basically, you're just meeting the person and making sure you're going to work on this process with them. It may not even take that long, depending on how many questions board members have for them. So I can put them, I'll put them at the top, and then the board won't feel like there's a need to rush to get to them. So, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we voted on that, right? Okay.
Yep.
So we're all going to hold Monday 24th for a possible probable meeting.
Awesome. Thank
I'm
you.
sure other things will come up between now and then that you'll need us for anyway, Mike.
Yeah, I can't think of my head, so I'm sure the stuff will come up. It always happens. Maybe
Okay.
some more COVID-19 stuff. You never know.
Yippee. All right, so moving on to item 5D. Oh yes, Corey, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, because of the Zoom format that we have for the interviews with the consultants, should we kind of alternate questions between them just to be fair to both of them, rather than having one first and one second?
I think that would be weird. I would just do one and then do the other.
So
But
I have a
they're not
question.
going to be listening to each other, because Elise can kick them out, put them in the waiting room.
Yeah, so I'll say that. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we're ready to move on to item 5D. Everybody good? Okay, here we go. This is discussion on possible action regarding possibly amending the tax increment finance agreement with Adam Coyle for the Rosewood apartment project in TID 4. We have a recommended motion to direct the village attorney to prepare a revised agreement for our August 3rd, 2020 board meeting. Mike, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yes. Actually, I'll just tell you what's in Elisa's well-written memo. What happened was, to summarize, was that this project was happened right after we adopted the new park improvement fees and the new park acquisition fee. And so I just neglected to tell Adam that. And so I caught it in time, and we are recommending that we amend the TIF agreement, and Adam has agreed to take out a bank loan to pay the fees, and then we would just increase his TIF assistance, and it's still a pay as you go project. And so then Adam is still taking the risk that he will get paid back before the TIF closes.
All right, any questions on this? Yes, Corey.
So tonight, are you looking for us to vote on, approving adding this money, or is this just for Matt to go, put the revised TIF agreement together? I'm just curious what this will do to the payoff and the but-for test.
Well, the but-for test is,
I guess it's more the payoff of how many, years this is going to take to pay it off.
Well, I asked that same question. We had Adam on the call with Matt and Elise, and Matt's response was, and Matt, you can jump in here if you want, but Matt said, because it's a pay go, Adam has taken the risk that he will not get paid back, Corey. The TIF could run out before that, and he's okay with that.
Do you know how many years it was set to be paid off before we add this money into it?
I don't recall.
I don't recall either. I do recall that when we looked at his original TIF request and it was evaluated, I believe, by Ellers, we felt that his request at the time was, shall we say, a modest request.
Yeah.
We did think there was some additional room in terms of the projected TIF revenues that could have financed additional expenses. And my assumption is that Adam is optimistic that he will be able to recover these dollars. But I don't think we've gone back and rerun the numbers through Ellers since we discovered this. Have we, Mike?
No, we haven't. No.
Yeah.
I was thinking of doing that, but then you convinced me after you made that comment back that it's at his risk that he takes a bank loan out, he pays us these fees, and now he's going to hopefully get paid back over the life of the TIF.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Just one comment. When I read this, I have to say, I thought it was pretty nice of Adam to be willing to borrow this extra money from his bank. Obviously he owes it because of the project, but I just think it's nice of him that he could have said no and said, no, I'm not going to do the or whatever. But so I just thought it was nice of him to go to his bank and get the money. I just thought that was nice.
We agree, Randy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about some of the developers that we've worked with in the past, I thought this was a pretty.
Yeah.
This was pretty big of him.
We got other ones that can't pay their invoices. So.
Yeah. All right. Would someone like to make a motion then that we direct our village attorney to prepare the revised agreement for our next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll move.
All right. So we'll do a motion by Glish and a second by Peterson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item E, this is discussion possible action regarding change order number 1 for Highlands of Netherwood Park project. Our recommended motion is to approve this order in the amount of $46,590.90 for a new total project of $857,599.90. And we have a note that the village board borrowed $1 million for this project. So Jeff, I think you wrote us a memo on this, right?
So I did write a memo on this one, but I can just quickly explain it.
Oh, sure.
The solid surfacing was something that was approved back when it was approved in concept and cost back when we awarded the contract, because we brought it in kind of late as an option after the bidding. The solid surfacing is actually a really neat thing that I'm very excited about. This will be our first playground in the village where we're doing this, and it's a poured in place rubberized type of surface with a 20+ year life, almost zero maintenance, very safe, and also extremely inclusion friendly for those in wheelchairs and other mobility challenged individuals. Which, if you remember from when we did this, we actually have several swings and a play structure and everything that are kind of trying to invite some of those with some physical and mental and emotional challenges and everything. So excited about that. That's the majority of it. And the other one was just a small change to the sprinkler irrigation system for the playing field, so that we would avoid the drainage trenches out there. So that kind of explains what this is. Any questions?
Corey?
I'm very much in favor of this. I'm only curious, what happens to that solid surface if it gets vandalized or tagged? Is that repairable, or are we just need to at that point?
I imagine it would have to be, that portion would have to be cut out and repaired, just kind of like if it were any other kind of surfacing or anything like that.
Okay.
Amanda? Yes.
2 words, flex paste.
Flex.
For the rubberized surface, just never mind.
Okay.
Is anyone ready to make a motion to do this change order?
Jeannie, I'll make the motion to approve this.
Okay, so a motion by Horton
I'll second Jeannie.
and a second by Glish. All right. So this is to do the change order number 1 in the amount of $46,590.90. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
You notice just a board member should go out on Netherwood and see the field is under construction. We anticipate having sod down on the field probably within, what do you think, at least three weeks? And the building should be going up starting this week.
Very exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. All right.
very exciting.
All right, item F, this is discussion and possible action regarding 2020 comprehensive plan amendment. We have a recommended motion to accept the scope of work from Vanderwall in the amount of $3,115 with the condition that developers affected by the amendment share in the cost of the update. Anyone ready to make this motion? Yes, Amanda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. So a motion by Peterson, a second. We could do for discussion. Second by Jacobson. Questions on this one? I think the magical words on this are that the developers share in the cost of the update.
And the developers are, it's the Lakestone Project, Habitat, and Lodopolis. And just so you know, as a related point, Matt and Elise and I are working on updated reimbursement agreements for those 3 projects, and the cost, their share of this comprehensive plan amendment will be in the reimbursement agreements that the board will see mostly or possibly at the next board meeting, or maybe on the 17th of August.
Okay. Yeah, Corey?
So are the developers aware of this cost now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In the scheme of things, this is nothing. In the scheme of their projects, Corey.
I agree. This is nothing, but as we're making them pay a bill, I at least want them to know about it.
Well, the advantage of the reimbursement agreement is a couple that need to get Elder's evaluation being done on, it's going to be laid out in the agreement, so they know when they're giving us deposit what the money's going for, including this.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on this. Any further discussion?
Just a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
So giving this the go-ahead, does this mean that these areas are going to be rezoned for these projects? Or do they still have to go through hearings and things? Because I noticed one of them is the Habitat and the Lakestone, like these are for the housing projects we're looking at doing.
If you look on the it says task for public hearing notice. I mean, there's a public hearing process that we have to go through.
Okay, this is just to have them work on it, not to.
And then this is to give Vanderwall the authority to start working on the comp plan. And then for each of those properties, they also have to go through a rezoning as well.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of, and then they're all 3 of those projects are going to have neighborhood meetings as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not approval. It's just their work preparing what we'll need to go through those meetings down the road.
Gotcha.
And training me to do it so we don't have to pay them every time we amend the comp plan.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Item G. This is a review of 6 months financial report, including the revenues update. You have some notes from Mike on here that overall the village is operating. Our general fund is balanced as of June 30th. Please note on page 2 that the account 148,100 interest and temporary investments will be updated for the August 3rd board meeting. We're waiting for instructions from our software company to upload some files. And the $58,641.60 reflects interest only through March 2020. So any further updates on that, Mike?
Nope, not at this point.
Questions for Mike on this? Yes, Bollig?
Yes, Mike, do you have any wise projections going forward
For the investment income or just overall?
for overall budget? Yeah.
I would say that we are, knock on wood, we are still in pretty good shape.
Okay.
And some of it's, not some of it, mainly it's because of the department heads holding positions vacant, being careful with their expenditures. And also, I will tell you, it's because of Candy's work on, I think we're going to get reimbursed for some of the COVID stuff from the state, which will be important to help make the budget look a lot better at the end of 2020. So I think with all that being said, I'm still comfortable that we're going to get through the year in pretty good shape.
Okay, now do you say that knowing that the funding for the federal grants that may not happen, or is that assuming that the funding continues, or?
No, this is the money, this is where Governor Evers allocated $165,000 to the village.
Right.
And so that's what Candy's going to be submitting for. And I'm pretty comfortable that we're not asking for anything that's crazy to get reimbursed, that we're going to get most of what she's asking for.
Okay.
So you take that money, I'm not saying we're going to get up to 165,000, but that's going to help the budget look good, I think, at the end of the year. At this point, we're halfway through the year, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for that, Mike.
Sure.
Item H, we have a review of building permits and connection fees. Takeaways from this? Anyone? Any staff?
We're doing as well compared to last year, but I think Lisa has mentioned to me that July is not looking as good as last year. I don't think that's surprising with everything going on in the economy, but we're doing pretty good compared to what's going on in the economy. So I think we were at 20. I think we were at 23 single family last year at this time, and we were at 21. So we're not doing too badly.
But when I was looking over the building permit fees though, last week or so, there were no additional new residential permits pulled yet in July. And it looks like last July we had 8.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to see it to start dropping off.
And so this year, I was talking to Jeannie about this on Friday. So now, this affects future budgets. When you see the 2021 budget, Lisa and I are comfortable that we're going to have a net new construction at a pretty good rate for next year's budget. But this will happen. This will have an impact on future budgets as the net new construction potentially goes down. So we'll see. Sometimes we've had a slow mid-summers and then it picks up in the fall, and the interest rates are obviously fabulous for building a house right now. So hopefully that helps the fall process as well.
All right, thank you for that information.
Sure.
Item I, this is just a FYI, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance. We received our 2019 dividend, which was in the amount of $9,794. And past payments have been used for the village's safety program. So thank you for info on that.
Sure.
Item J, this is a reminder for neighborhood meetings for upcoming projects on Janesville Street. The Habitat for Humanity neighborhood meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 27th at 6:30 p.m. with a rain date of the next day. And that's at Waterman Triangle Park right downtown. And then the Lakestone project neighborhood meeting is Wednesday, July 29th at 6:30 p.m. with a rain date of the next night at Waterman Triangle Park. So in the days of COVID, we are having outdoor meetings in public parks. So bring the bug spray. And it's a good way to get educated on what's going on in the community.
Can Bollig ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
And I'm going to back up briefly. Mike, can you tell me, or Lisa, can you tell me what kind of items we buy out of this safety program, or what do we do with the safety program?
The last couple of years, we were paying a company that's somewhat affiliated with Illegal Wisconsin to come in and do safety training once a year, and which also includes confined space entry for public works, so that in case we ever get audited by the state, we would be in compliance. And then we also have bought in safety equipment and safety supplies and things like that. We did not do that training this year because we could not figure a way to do it via Zoom, and we're not going to do it in person with COVID-19. And so I'm not sure, we'll think of what we're going to do with this money in the 21 budget, but we may not end up using it for the safety program next year. We'll have to see.
Okay. So when they come in and do training, is it how to lift properly or what?
Bloodborne pathogens. We have to do that every year, for example.
Okay.
And then that's for everybody. And then the public works employees stay behind and do confined space. And Jeff, is there anything else that Vince does for you or with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not only confined space, but it's just general safety, it's hearing, it's, personal protective equipment, that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to item K. This is our COVID-19 information and status of the Forward Dane Plan. Emergency order number 8 is still effective, which requires everyone age 5 or older to wear a face covering or mask when indoors and around people outside of their household. Item 1 under this is discussion and possible action regarding notification to the Public Service Commission to continue waiving late payment penalties for water and sewer bills until October 31st, 2020. So we have a recommended motion to write that letter. Would anyone, and the letter would say that we would continue waiving the late payment penalty for water sewer bills until November 30th, 2020. Anyone comfortable making that motion?
I'll make that motion or
All right.
second. I hear Randy, I think.
Go ahead, Jerry, you can have it.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion by Bollig and a second by Galish. Discussion or questions on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2 says FYI only, the Dane County has purchased and will be handing out 100,000 free face masks to local organizations during the COVID-19 pandemic. There's information on that in our packet. Item 3, signs have been posted on all village-owned buildings. Announcement from Public Health, Madison and Dane County. Mask signages on entrances of business spaces are now a requirement. Let's see, businesses must post that sign in order to be in compliance with this requirement. It's available in multiple languages. Overall, most businesses and individuals in Dane County have been supportive of public health requirements. We want to thank everyone who's been wearing a mask in our community. I see a lot of folks in Oregon wearing masks. I know it's a requirement from Dane County now, but it's what we can do to keep our community safe. So I want to thank the community for pulling together and doing that. Any comments or questions on this? All right. Thank you, staff, for continuing to work under unusual circumstances. We appreciate you. Let's see. So then we are going to item L. This is discussion on possible action regarding well number 5 variable frequency drive. We have a recommended motion to confirm the purchase and installation of a variable frequency drive for well number 5 from Altronix in the amount of $8,279.67. Someone like to make that motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Horton and a second by Jacobson, perhaps. All right, questions on this? Was this an emergency purchase type thing, perhaps?
Yes and no. I mean, it actually was something we had budgeted for 2020. Since we have so much stuff going on, we hadn't really put it on the agenda yet to run it through. But the starter went out. Obviously, it's kind of like when your AC goes out on the hottest day of the year. Very fortunate, like I said in the memo, Altronix has been very supportive. It used to be LW Allen, if you see that too. been very supportive of the village. They were able to put a temporary starter in there, but it's temporary only. And we'd actually budgeted, I think, $15,000 for this, and the cost of this came out almost 8,300. So this will be a good situation. Variable frequency drives are great for your motors. They don't, if you just think of it as a variable frequency drive allows a motor to start and stop in an ascending and descending fashion. So it starts slow and ends slow, versus a solid state drive just turns it on and it's instantly on. And so it's just harder on the motors.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Oh, anyone opposed? All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item M, this is a FY only. Village and school officials and the ad hoc committee will meet to evaluate the school resource officer program and the agreement for the upcoming school year.
And Jeannie, that's August 3rd at 7:45 a.m. That we were able to pick a date.
Okay. I'm assuming Zoom meeting.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Be interesting to see where that discussion starts and goes with everything going on. Yeah. All right. Item N, this is discussion and possible board direction regarding status of outstanding invoices by developer. Mike or Jeff, do you want to?
I can do this. So this is for Mary Hill, mainly Mary Hill phase 5 that we're doing with Jim Lease. And I should tell you that Jim did stop in this morning and did pay $5,000 of his outstanding invoices, but he still owes us over $20,000. And at this point, we haven't done any work on his projects. He knows that. He's apologized for what's going on here, but he did sign a reimbursement agreement, which allows us to put a lien on his property. And that will be the recommendation that I'll ask the board to make tonight, or as far as the direction is to proceed with that or process that. And which is somewhat ironic that that's going to involve using Matt, and we're going to charge that back to Jim to put a lien on his property. And I should say, it may not be his property. That's one of the things I'll have Matt help us figure out is which properties that we put the lien on. But at this point, that's where we are. He has not been paying until today, I think. Lisa, what did you tell me last week? Until today, he hadn't paid since last fall, I believe.
Yeah, October of 2019 was the last small payment he made. And the last time that he's been current was in about September of 2018.
That's what you said, yeah. Thank you. So we get no pleasure doing this. Jim's a good guy, but we have to treat everybody fairly. We've done this with other developers who aren't paying. We stopped working on their projects. And once Jim becomes current, then we'll start working with them on his projects.
Yes.
Excuse me. So, Mike, is it okay? Can I ask? Is it just having some financial difficulties? Would that be, or?
I'm not sure.
You don't know. Okay.
I'm not sure, but in the past, when we've asked him to pay his outstanding bills, he's done it. So I'm not sure what's going on. To be honest with you.
I just wondered what was happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Right.
Yeah.
So Mike, you're looking for a motion tonight to move forward with having Matt prepare the paperwork for the lien?
Yep. Yes, correct, please.
Have we ever done that before?
No.
Yeah, we have not. And Mike, I think we'll have to talk about, exactly how to proceed with that.
Yep.
It's we've never had to do that before. So I think we have language in our agreement that indicates we could do that, but we're just going to have to take a step back and look at,
yep,
is that the right next step? And if so, how do we do it?
Correct. Yep.
Jeannie, one other comment from Mike.
Yes.
So Mike, is he aware that we may be potentially doing this tonight? Putting
I didn't tell him that per se, but I did tell him the board. I actually sent him the agenda and told him he could join us if he wanted to.
Well, I am here.
Okay, Jim's here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hi,
I'm
Jim.
sorry. Did you guys not know that? Oh,
Oh, no, that's fine. Hey, we're
Yeah.
glad.
I'm only, Jeff gave me the information to
the call in.
log in
Yep.
via telephone.
Yeah.
So Jim, you've listened to the conversation. Do you have thoughts on the situation?
Things are quite closer to being back to normal, and I should be able to get that amount zeroed out, hopefully very soon. But I'm not, how do I say this? I don't want to interrupt you guys' procedure. Hopefully I'll be able to get that squared away before the lien would become final. I'm not sure how quickly that acts, but if that makes sense.
Well, Jim, do you have a deadline where you could make a commitment to the board that you will keep the balance?
I would need to talk to Mary Jo's accountant about that. So I really did not say a date. I didn't really know what we were going to be discussing exactly tonight. But I should be able to talk to him, I would think, tomorrow, and then get back to you. Would that be okay?
So
that's up to the board.
So,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to see, I mean, it sounds like Jim maybe can work this. I'd like to see Matt and Mike try to get this worked out before we would even go forward with any kind of lien. But I think Mike is asking a very important, we need to know when this would be paid. I'm willing to wait if we get a date in the next day or two. I don't have any, it's not a pleasure for me to put a lien on somebody's property.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would agree, Randy. That I guess I'm not comfortable with the lien. I mean, I understand the problem that we're in, that we're owed the money. But I sure wish that we could figure it out. Amanda, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of waiting on the lien. You know, if you think you could get us a date, Jim, in the next, a couple of days, we could put this on next week's board meeting agenda, just kick it back a week, and then we might be able to see how far out that date is. If it's only within a couple of months or something, and you think you could pay this off, I'm willing to wait rather than do a lien.
Yep, I think, like I said, I cannot speak for all the money people and stuff, but I would think if you said 2 months, I do not think that would be a problem. But like I said, it's a pretty official statement for me to make, so I would just as soon check with the people who will be signing checks, if that makes sense. But I don't think the time that you're talking about is, we should be able to do that. Yep.
Okay.
So here's my opinion, and no offense to Jim. I've been exchanging emails with him since last October, or maybe before that, and I think 2 months is too long, Amanda. I think that if you want to, the next board meeting is August 3rd. I think we should ask Jim if the board wants to go down this road to give us a date by August 3rd. And then I think
I think you misunderstood me, Mike. I'm sorry to interrupt. I did not mean to be able to give you a date in 2 months. I meant to be zeroed out in 2 months. Does that make more sense?
Well, I just said but 2 months seems like a long time to pay us. If the money's
okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. I misunderstood what you said then.
Yeah, no, I think you should. I think my opinion. I think you should pay the village within the month. That's my opinion.
Of July or August?
So I would say today is July 20th. We have 2 meetings in August, the 3rd and the 17th. I mean, I like to have this paid off on August 3rd so we can start working with you again. But if the board be open to, we can wait till the 17th, and if not, then I think we got to proceed with doing the lien process.
Okay, good.
My opinion. Doesn't mean
let me just grab a pencil and write this down quick.
Can I ask you a question?
August 3rd, and the other one is August 17th. Is that right?
Well, I think I would put this back on the August 3rd agenda for an update, but if the board agrees to it, again, you should board have to weigh in on this, give you to August 17th. I'd have to come back to the August 17th board meeting and say that you have paid in full. Otherwise, we start the process.
So Jeannie, question for Jim. Jim, is August 3rd doable for you, do you think?
To be paid in full by the 3rd?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I will sure try. Like I said, I can't, it's not my money I would be releasing, so I would have to check on that. And I hate to say something and then I'm off. So that will be the date that I will tell them, and I'll be able to let you know in a couple days. Yeah.
Jim, would you believe that the maximum would be the 17th? Jim?
Yeah, I would. Well, I would sure hope so. I mean, like I said, I hate to say something and without actually being able to talk to the people that would be issuing that check. But
try for the 3rd, and then if you can't,
yes. Oh yeah.
I think we're looking at the maximum would be, we would like it to be the 17th. I agree with Mike. I don't want to go 2 months out.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, as far as that's your deadline. I mean, that to me seems reasonable.
Then you can get started again.
Yeah. Oh no, I absolutely agree with you. Honest to God, I thought I would have had this paid off earlier than this, but that's.
Well, Jim, we all know you're a good guy.
Your timeline is pretty reasonable to me.
Okay.
We all know you're a good guy, Jim.
What's that?
We all know you're a good guy.
Oh, thank you. But no, I will get in touch with the people I need to, and then get a hold of you guys either tomorrow or Wednesday. Will that be okay?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Just drop me an email, Jim, please. Well,
sure.
Again,
yeah.
Again, if the board agrees to do this, I shouldn't be speaking for the board.
Right. Yeah. No, it's.
Is the board okay with that plan that Jim's going to give Mike a date for payoff in the next couple of days, and that the goal is to have it paid by the August 17th meeting? And I guess if it's not, Mike, maybe put this on the August 17th agenda.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And then give us an update.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
I will do.
Molly's okay with that plan.
Okay.
I'm
Corey, do you have a question?
Yeah. I guess, Jim, I appreciate that you don't want to give us a date that's not, honest and that you can't stick to. So I appreciate that. That being said, we do have bills that haven't been paid for quite some time. So that's kind of why we're sticking to our guns with, when we want to see it paid off by. My question for you is if we did file a lien on this property, does that affect your ability to be able to pay and to move this development forward in the future?
I don't think liens ever are favorable on things like that.
No.
I'm not really sure how to answer that. I mean, that in order to do any of these projects, it involves working with the bank, obviously. I'm not sure what to say about that. I wouldn't think
maybe I can.
I wouldn't think it'd be a plus.
Yeah, and this is Jeff, and Corey, I think I can kind of help answer some of your questions. This is for Mary Hill 5th edition, and 5th edition is essentially complete. It even has the second layer of asphalt already installed. The only thing really outstanding are some minor punch list items. I think there's some concrete sidewalk that had to be replaced, and final lien waivers, as-built drawings, record drawings, that type of thing. So, essentially we're at the finish line of this phase of development, and Jim has not pursued the 6th edition, which were those additional 6 lots, Jim?
I think it's
right?
7.
Okay, 7 lots. That has not been pursued. I think it's really only gone through preliminary review by the Planning Commission. So that's what we're trying to we're just kind of trying to wrap up something that probably should have been wrapped up a year ago.
I guess that being said,
It's the 5th edition we're talking about, right?
5th edition, correct.
Yep.
Yeah, no, yep, that's right. Yep.
I mean, have we considered having more of an upfront deposit of which that we, deduct when we have bills from our engineer and from our attorneys and things like that, and then that gets replenished when it's out, rather than kind of the village going into the negative on these things?
That's what we're working on, Corey. I was mentioning those reimbursement agreements. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, Jenna?
Lien would be solely on the 5th edition, not the 6th, not the whole contiguous 5th and 6th that are unfinished. Is that
Yeah,
right?
the lien, yeah. The lien would be against the 5th edition, and we'd have to discuss with Matt those options and everything like that. The 6th edition is really just in concept right now. It's not moving forward at all, and won't move forward until we have a full payment of the, they're basically caught up.
And how many individual homes in the 5th edition have yet to be sold?
Jim, how many lots do you still have in 5th edition?
We have 2 lots left.
Just so you know, if we were to attach a lien, it would be against the 2 lots that the developer still owns.
Yep, lot 169 and 170.
All right.
Yeah, Corey?
I mean, that being said, I think our leverage is disappearing on this, aside from holding up the 6th edition. So, I would like to see this paid sooner than later. So I would like to see in the next couple days kind of a hard plan on what we're going to do, which I think is where everyone else is at.
Yeah. The other thing we may need to do here is just file a small claims action and get a judgment in small claims court.
Randy?
Jim, we have faith that you're going to wrap this up in the next couple days.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, so Jim, you're gonna send Mike an email in the next day or two with a date. This is gonna be on the August 17th agenda. If it's not paid by full on August 17th, it sounds like we've got a majority of the board that's gonna move forward in actions that probably aren't preferable. So
No, that sounds fine. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll work on getting it paid.
Okay, just if this is paid before that board meeting, then do I need to appear at the board meeting, or are we just good then?
I'll just give the board an update, Jim.
Okay, so
Yep.
Paid in full, I don't need to be at a meeting then.
That's correct.
Okay, not that I mind the meetings, but I'm just fine. Honestly, yeah, this is the first Zoom meeting I've been on. So okay, well I'll get started on that tomorrow morning, and I will email you, Mike, with the progress, and we'll get this squared away.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, no problem.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Is there anything else for me, or should I hang up?
I think we're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
your
evening.
time,
Thanks a
Jim.
lot, guys. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jim.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. Mike, do you want a formal motion on that or no? Okay.
I have good notes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Item O. So discussion and possible action regarding Wisconsin Election Commission CARE subgrant agreement. We recommend a motion to authorize Candy Jones to sign the subgrant agreement in the amount of $7,900.
I'll go move that for discussion.
All right. Do we have a second?
Glacial second.
All right.
I'm just curious, what is a subgrant as opposed to a grant?
So this is actually part of the CARE, like the overall federal CARES monies. So it's a sub grant of the official CARES money. So it's to the Wisconsin Elections Commission. They got a portion of the federal money.
Okay, so it's just a portion of the money went to this agency, and now they're giving you some money.
It's just more paperwork, essentially.
Well, you love that, so we're good.
But we'll take this grant too is election specific. So I think we can get some wages that we had from election workers that we had to like call in extra for this, and like through the routes to recovery we wouldn't be able to claim that. So this is more, like I said, election specific.
Okay.
All right, any further questions on that? So we have a motion and a second to authorize Candy to sign that subgrant agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item P, we have some openings on committees, commissions, boards, and this information is on our website. Any village resident interested in serving on the Oregon Area Fire EMS District Joint Board, the Park Board, or the Police Commission should fill out an application and follow that process. We'd love to have more public engagement in all the things that we do. It doesn't look like we have any report of committees or minutes. We don't have any unfinished business. Under item 12, A, B, and C are vacant. So item D, this is approval of pending renewal operator licenses. We have a memo provided by the police department. This is headquarters concerning Mason Wyland for the renewing his bartender operator license. Village administrator recommends approval of the license. Anyone want to make a motion or have questions on this?
I'll go make that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the license. Is there a second? Second by Jacobson. All right, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I heard a yawn in there. All right, so we have some future agenda items on there. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time tonight.
Thank you.